this lesson is looking at alternate, corresponding and co-interior angles. These are angles that are found when you've got a transversal, so a straight line that crosses a pair of parallel lines, and it creates a number of really important angles. So just before we start, we have to remember that a transversal is a straight line that crosses a pair of parallel lines. So we'll go into a bit more detail about each of the corresponding alternate and interior angles, but you can see here visually corresponding angles that are below the pair of parallel lines or above the pair of parallel lines. Alternate angles, so either side of the transversal, and co-interior or interior, meaning they're inside the pair of parallel lines. If we look at our numbers to the left, you can see how, say, numbers 1 and 5 would be corresponding angles, 2 and 6 would be corresponding angles, 4 and 8, or 7 and 3. You can also see how 3 and 6 would be alternate angles, 4 and 5 would be alternate angles, and then interior angles, 3 and 5 adding to 180, or 4 and 6. So again, alternate angles are on opposite sides of the transversal between the parallel lines, and they're equal. So they're going to be exactly the same. So you can see in the example there that B is the equivalent to 76 degrees and A is equivalent to 104 degrees. The corresponding angles are either above or below the parallel lines on the same side of the transversal, and they're the same size. So you can see in our examples, the number 1, they are corresponding. The second one, they're not corresponding. The next one, they are corresponding. So they're either below or above, but they're on the same side of the transversal. Co-interior angles we can remember because they make a big shaped C, either a backward C if we're facing to the left or a forwards facing C. And they're on the same side of the transversal as well, but they're inside the parallel lines, and they add to 180 degrees. So you can see on our example that the X must be 70 degrees because 110 degrees plus 70 will give us 180. And then putting it all together, you've got a few examples of both. To the left, it's just about picking whether they are co-interior, corresponding and alternate, and then what the value is. So of course, when it's co-interior, they're adding up to 180. If they're corresponding or alternate, then they're going to be exactly the same value. And then the example to the right is where you're using your knowledge of all three to try to work out the unknown X. So you can see there, if you track back according to my dots, so you can see the 39 degrees is the same as my 2 red dots. And then if you think about your X and the red dot and the circled H, all have to add up to 180 degrees because they're on a straight line. And then if you use your knowledge of corresponding angles, you can see that the 76 is equal to the H down below. So if you know the two angles, then your X unknown angle is just the 180 degrees minus those two angles.